Hey guys, this is George and MJ from the Raven Age, and you are watching Southeast Rec Metal. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I never know what else to say in those things.
That's good. That's good. All right, MJ and George from the Raven Age. Hey, welcome to Finland.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're honored to be here. Hey, last time we met, it was 2019, Brooklyn, New York. Lots of things happened since then. So, like new album, new record label. How did it all start to happen? That you came and signed a new deal for a bigger record label.
Well, we had our.
Marty.
Thanks. we got our album together, and we got quite excited by it, and we thought, this is a strong album, and we had a few record labels in our mind which we were hoping to get, and so we got a manager to put this cool pitch together. Anyway, I approached a few different labels, and we had luckily had some interest from 3 or 4 of them, and we ended up going with Music for Nations, who are attached to Sony, and they were the ones we actually wanted to get in the first place. So it really worked out actually, and it's just after the whole pandemic and all that shit, like it really just lifted the morale, and thought, yes, we've got the perfect label we wanted to, and the campaign started rolling pretty much straight away. Got to work, got on the music videos, all that stuff, and yeah, it's been great with them since.
Well, like you said, you had all the plans for the album already, and Music for the Nations, it's well known about being a metal band's home.
Yeah.
Was that the one thing that you wanted to from the record label, that they understand the genre and the music business for these kind of band like you are?
Absolutely. I think the main thing that we were searching for, and we had an idea of what we wanted. Based on on paper, these look and sound great. That would be, but it's all about when you meet the person, and the thing that was top of our list was like, do they understand the band? Do they like us? Do they understand what we're trying to achieve, and are they going to be like proactive with us, rather than, because we've been with major labels before, and it's kind of, we're a small fish in a big pond, and we can barely get in touch, no contact and stuff. We thought we want someone a bit more hands-on who can help develop us, and they're kind of like a small team that work attached to a big label, so they give you the time and they care, and that's the main thing we wanted, and we just had the best response from Julie Weir and Tom at Music for Nations, and that's essentially why we went with them.
Yeah, they don't take on many bands in the roster as well, which is I think a good business tactic from their perspective, because like George said, you get lost in the mix sometimes when there's so many bands on the roster, and they, some people can go unnoticed, and Julie and their team are very specific about who they take on, so it makes it more of a kind of I think privilege for us to be part of that, and allows her to concentrate on a select few rather than a large amount.
Well, in your case, I think that's, for me, it sounds that is the most important thing, that the record company cares about you and what you're doing, because then it's good to know as a band member that we're in good hands.
Absolutely.
Because some of those record companies nowadays, like you said, it's all about money. They don't care, bad word, shit about that. How good he is, or the artist or the band, if he doesn't make money.
I mean, I think money's always been the most important thing to record labels. I don't think we can kid ourselves with that. But the thing that's changed is obviously the landscape of the industry is completely different now, because record companies, by their very name, were built on record sales, and now that's not obviously the same thing. And I think the format of how these companies operate is changing, and it needs to change, because the music industry is I think grassroots, like small bands starting out, it's nearly impossible to make a living from it. It's very, very difficult, and largely that's down to, as I said, the landscape. But the record companies as a whole don't care, because they just want to make money. That's their ethos. They're a business, and I understand that. But if there's ever going to be a music industry and young acts coming through the system, you know, to play for the future of the next generations, you know, it needs to be worth it for the bands as well, you know. And I think the thing about the team at Music for Nations is they care about the bands and they care about the artist, and they've got to basically play both sides, which is good. They've got to obviously keep their business hats on because they're under, you know, Sony, one of the biggest, if not the biggest in the music industry, you know, so they've got to play that side, but also the reason they take on a small amount of bands is so they can make it worthwhile for the artists as well.
And they have time then when there are right amount of bands under their team. Okay, well, let's talk about the Blood Omen then. Then you, like George said, all the album plans were ready, then you got to work, and this summer you released Blood Omen, and it seems to get all the time when you go to YouTube or whatever, Spotify, you see that it's getting more and more, you know, listening, and people are finding it. How do you feel about the album yourself if you compare it to the previous albums? Because for me it's a bit heavier, and of course as a band you have been developing and everything's gone forward. But what's your opinion about it if you compare it to the other albums?
I think compared to the other albums, I actually think the first and the second album are both obviously drastically different anyway, because MJ came on board for the second album, Tony came on board for the second album. So that in its nature changed the sound of the band. So it kind of, for me, it kind of almost feels like we started again from Conspiracy with our second album. But yeah, when MJ joined the band in early 2018, we had a lot of Conspiracy was ready to go, and we just had to get straight in the studio. Me and MJ worked on a few songs and finished off the album together, really. But a lot of it was kind of, and we didn't have time to think and plan, and we just like get in the studio, go, get it out there. Yeah, so, and then obviously we had that quite a long time since the second one. We've played, you know, it's been in the band together for years now, and we had that chance to kind of just fine tune, find our own sound again, I think, as a band. And there's more of a collaboration with the writing process. Like, we understand each other more, like especially with MJ's vocal range and stuff like that, and how the melodies just work. So I think Blood Omen's a bit more of a, I guess a bit more fine-tuned, I think, and because we had all that time over the pandemic to kind of finesse the songs, that helped with that. But yeah, like you said, I feel it's different. It's not like we sat down and gone, right, okay, lads, we need to do something different here. We just kind of, it was like a natural evolution. We've evolved. Maybe I feel like it's a bit more mature, maybe in a way, and I think that's just the nature of us getting a bit older, wanting to do something slightly differently.
Because that's the one thing for me that when I've been listening to it, I think it's more, you know, heavier. It's not so different as in a style way, but a bit heavier sounds, songs some a bit darker maybe than before. But anyway, good stuff. And like you mentioned, the pandemic gave you a bit time to do this. Yeah. So when it came down that the world is going to close down, so did you decide then that let's write some music because now we have time, or did it just happen?
Well, the plan was originally when we obviously did the American tour in 2019, and we came back to Europe and we did some shows. We did a tour with Alter Bridge and Shinedown, and it was a great year. And the plan was essentially to release the album in 2020. That was the plan, more or less, or at least record the album in 2020. We went back over to America for a very short period of time to do some radio stuff, and then the world shut down. So we always say the Blood Omen album that maybe would have been released is very different to the album that has been released now. In a good way, I think. You know, the thing that the pandemic is, you know, in the industry, you very rarely get time to hone certain songs and really think about things for the extent of time that a lot of musicians had over the pandemic. Like George said about Conspiracy, we didn't have time to think about it. We just that was it. We had to go. And I think the same thing could have happened with Blood Omen, but luckily we had the time to really hone some of these songs and some other songs that wouldn't have been written in time for it to be on the album. So, it's a blessing and a curse, because you can overthink stuff a lot of time. And I can do that, especially I can, second guess everything I've done, and the instinctual part seems to disappear when you do that. But I think we've got the balance right, and I think because of the time we had, instead of focusing on not touring and all that stuff, we had to wait. It would be financially a disaster had we released that album and not been able to tour it. It just doesn't work that way. You need to be able to tour albums to make it work in a business sense nowadays. So we had that time, and it gave us the chance to meet the right team with Music for Nations, and we really kind of honed the sound with our producer Matt Hyde, who did Conspiracy, and get everything right. And we're very happy with how it came out because of that.
So for you as a band, the pandemic was a bit, time to take on and concentrate on making new music. Well, as we know, and like we last met, you were supporting Maiden, and you've done supporting Anthrax and Alter Bridge and Shinedown and big bands like that. But now you're doing on your own tour and support the new album, promote it, Blood Omen. How does it feel to play your own show as a headliner, and you got a supporting band, and now you have more time to play? You can select more songs to the set list and all that. I think it's like, getting off from the change.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think we've obviously been, like as you just said, we've been very lucky to support some incredible bands and play in some huge places in front of loads of other fans. But I think you can't quite beat the feeling of playing to your own fans. Like, it's just, even over the summer, we played some festivals in between some of the Maiden shows and stuff. Like, your own fans come to the front, they're all wearing the shirts, they know all the songs, and you just get that. It's a different energy you get back when you're trying to win a crowd over. It's like we're working really hard to try and kind of impress, I guess, and show what we can do. Whereas you've kind of, to a point, already done that with your own fans, and they're just beaming and happy to be there, to be singing along these songs with you. And yeah, you just can't really beat that. And it's been quite a while since we've done a headline tour. The Conspiracy headline tour was great for us. We did like a really small one in winter 21. It was a bit of a weird time. Like, it was good. We went inside the gap where if you caught COVID, you had to not see your parents and all that stuff. So it was a bit of a strange time. So don't really count that one. But this one is, it's the second show in Helsinki, but number one in Krakow was great, and just really excited to get in front of our fans and play the new album, because it does feel like it's been a long time coming.
And that's good, like you said, you get your own fans, because, well, what's your opinion? Because when we were doing a Shinedown interview 5 years ago with Zach Myers, the guitar player, they were supporting Iron Maiden on 2017 or something, tour like that. And he said that it was a tough place to go on stage, because all the fans were just looking at you and like,
oh, I know that.
like that, and okay. And he was like that was the most horrible experience for him to go there and try to win those fans. Yeah.
You go out on stage and you play a show and you see people like with their fists up and stuff, and literally when you open for Iron Maiden, you just see heads, and they don't give a fuck about you. I'll be honest, everybody's like, Art, we have the best fans in the world. We have the best fans. No, you don't. Iron Maiden has the best fans in the world. I've never seen anything like it. They take over a city.
So what do you think about that? Now you have your own time and to support no matter what the main band is.
Well, I've kind of had this question quite a lot, especially before the summer that we just had. So in my opinion, Maiden fans are, especially in rock and metal music, some of the most die-hard, loyal, uncompromising fans in that genre of music. they're very, very difficult to win over. And obviously we've toured with Maiden a couple of times now, and it is tough. It is a tough ask. I've said in interviews before that it's probably one of the hardest support gigs in metal to be the band on before Iron Maiden. It is so hard. And you've got to have your game at its highest every single night. The thing is, like, you go out and you put on a great show, and we've been very, very fortunate that the summer we didn't have a bad show. Everything was great, and the fans were very welcoming, and they were fantastic shows, and which is great. But I know what Zach means. It is such a tough. We've had bands like Killswitch when we did a tour with Maiden. Killswitch played and we played, and they said, "Oh my God, it's hard." He said, "It's just you're just getting nothing from them," and I know how that feels, But we're very lucky in the sense is we're, there's something about our style of music I think that seems to go down better with Maiden fans than maybe other bands have had. And it's difficult, especially if you're in a band like Shinedown and you're used to playing these massive places in America by yourself, but then you've got to go when you support Maiden in Europe and you think, oh God, this is difficult. You're not giving me anything here. It is tough. But like I said, we feel like we've earned our stripes a bit with doing it. We've managed to convert a lot of these fans in the past, and we had some great shows in the summer. But then you've got to you can't rest on your laurels. You've got to do it the next night, and then the night after that, and the night after that, and it starts all over again. And it's tough. It is so tough. And by the end of the summer, I was exhausted because it's a big ask. But obviously, with these gigs, you've still got to bring the best performance because our fans have spent money to buy a ticket and to come see the band. So we want to make sure that we bring our best. But there's that energy that George spoke about that is much better and more rewarding and just relaxing, I think.
And now the energy, it goes to the both ways.
Yeah.
The audience gets it from you and you get it from the audience when it's doing right. Okay, so now you're touring across to Europe. If I got it right, some 20, 30 dates. And then you go back to UK. And what's going to happen next year, 2024?
Well, hopefully, more touring and more touring Blood Omen and getting out there as much as we can. We have a couple of tours. We actually have a couple of tours lined up, which haven't been announced yet, so I can't tell you. But yeah, we're busy. We're keeping busy, basically. We're got sort of in the back of our minds thinking, okay, we need to start working on the next album at some point. Not really thinking too much into when yet, because we've got a few options for tours and we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. But I think we'll be in Europe. We'll be doing some European festivals again. I think I can say that. Potentially try and get to the US. I think he's on the cards, but this is all stuff we don't know yet. So it's a big question mark, essentially.
But anyway, plans are ready.
Yeah,
we have some. Yes.
The ball's in motion.
You're just waiting that things are
Yeah,
going to get in the pieces are falling in the right places.
Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, we'll let you get ready, a bit rest before the night show. Have fun on tour. Nice to have you here and nice to meet you again, guys.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, guys, stay safe, stay heavy.
Thank you.